y'all. So we're going to chat very briefly. This is going to be a very brief chat because it's going to act as a small part two to my last video, right message, wrong time. The reason I'm doing this video is because a very close friend, like one of my sisters, came to me and she had some concerns about some things that I said in the video. I got good feedback from a lot of other people, but I value her opinion. So I felt like it was very important for me to make one just last effort to further articulate myself. Because at this point, you know, when you put yourself out there with your opinions, you know that everybody's not going to agree with you. Like, I've come to that conclusion, and even if I do this video and she's still like, I don't agree, that's fine too. I've learned how to respectfully agree to disagree. But I value who she is. I value her background, her education. So I really wanted to take the time to make one last effort and just further give an example and clarify some things. So because I want to be as accurate as possible with my words, I'm going to read what I've written about this, which you will most likely never see me do because I think that just defeats the whole purpose. But I do feel like when I write, I'm 10 times more articulate and spot on with what I want to express than when I don't write or when I just speak off the top of my head. So due to the history of our patriarchal society, I think it's important for me to give another example of what I was trying to illustrate, but with a similar system. So we know that it is wrong and cowardly for a white officer, a police officer, to kill an unarmed black man. A black man should be able to have encounters with the police that do not instill fear or end in death or inappropriate handling practices. Yet we still understand the importance of teaching young black boys and young black men how to properly interact with and around the police in an attempt to lessen the chances of being perceived as a threat. I'm sure that there have been many training measures implemented in police districts to teach cultural competence, especially with all the things that have been going on in probably the last 5 years. So I'm sure that there have been trainings and workshops and all of this to further teach cultural competence. And that these trainings have been implemented in local police districts to help white officers and people in general, help these officers understand their own biases and their own prejudices. And so we can have all of these trainings implemented, and yet we will still have some white officers who fear and project negative stereotypes onto black men. Is it wrong? Absolutely. Will a black man do everything right and still be a victim of police brutality? Most likely, yes. But should we still teach our black boys the importance of not making any sudden movements, of being respectful and non-combative with the police? Yes, we should still do that, because essentially by not doing that, we're not setting them up for the reality of their world. And that's pretty much the same logic I'm applying to speaking to women about doing what they can while living in a sexist society, because we're essentially trying to train our boys up to do what they can while living in a racist society. So my usage of the example of clothing was just based on my personal views and experiences. Thinking about clothing choices in and out of certain contexts to divert some attention off of myself, going to parties with dependable friends, never accepting a drink I didn't see get poured, and knowing at what point my alcohol intake has made me vulnerable are just all little things that I do day to day on the weekends to protect myself. And I'm just saying that in a way, every woman should have their own, and not necessarily the ones that I'm naming, but just something, so that way you can feel like you're doing what you can. And for women who choose not to do that, or are just uneducated on the matter, or are naive, I will continue to speak for them, and intervene whenever I deem necessary on her behalf, because at the end of the day, she's still a human being. And that's still my sister at the end of the day. I don't care if I don't know the bitch from a can of paint. Like, I'm still going to always look out for another black woman's better interest. Women in general. Because we see these men are not going to do it. At least some of them are. I'm not going to say all men, but just based on what this whole conversation was inspired by, they're proclaiming they're not going to do it. So, in no way, shape, or form was I ever saying in my last video that I believe that women who dress a certain way don't deserve to be protected at all. And I thought I made that very clear. That a woman could walk down the street butt-ass naked, and if I'm sitting there looking and a man try her, best believe I'm going to intervene, and I'm going to still say she can do whatever the fuck she wants. That doesn't give you any rights to her body. So I hope that example just made it clear that I'm more so speaking on doing what we can where we can. Not saying that we can prevent anything or anything of that nature. I'm saying let's just try to make any type of effort to save ourselves from certain situations. Okay, I hope that was clear, straight to the point. Y'all have a good one.